I would love to hear you explain in layman terms to our community what your biggest gripe is with current fiat and why the blockchain is so revolutionary in your mind.
I would say the biggest gripe currently with the fiat system is, the centralization of it, right? And the ability indefinitely for the supply to be manipulated. Right? You can't have a sound money when you don't have a defined supply. Right? When that can be manipulated. And in the current state, the Federal Reserve is, they have full authority, to manipulate the dollar how the Fed and our government see fit.
Hmm.
And not only for US citizens, right, but globally, it's very destructive, right? Because every country in the world, I believe, except six or eight, are directly tied to the USD through their central banking system, holding dollars in reserve to protect the value of their native currency,
Hmm.
right? So as we print dollars, it not only really negatively affects us, which is what we're seeing currently with massive inflation, right?
Hmm.
And this is only the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, and then but you look globally, and slowly but surely we're pricing civilizations and people out of being able to live, right? For us, maybe it's one less steak or one less bottle of wine, but to some people it's, the loaf of bread that they need to feed their family. And that is what scares me so much about the society that we're in, because yeah, I mean, it's yeah, that's my biggest gripe, I would say, with fiat currency, and what scares me, and why you continue to see a lot of fiat systems fail.
Right. And so to
But
follow that up is what gets you jazzed up about the blockchain then?
yeah, so with Bitcoin again, it is truly this peer-to-peer network, that facilitates freedom, right? Because when you own your keys, you own your crypto. When you take Bitcoin, right? When you take this asset that has a finite supply, right? I can go and pretty much tell you, roughly the day and the time that the last Bitcoin is going to go into circulation, when we know we have these very definite events like the halving for Bitcoin, right? And we see an inflation decrease of half, right? And those happen I think it's every 280,000 blocks. But having, these very finite parameters in place, in my opinion, made it like the first truly scarce asset, the first finite asset in our galaxy, right? And
Hmm.
so with that, just through the power of the internet and through the power of blockchain, we have the ability to facilitate our own systems of value. We don't need a middleman. We don't need a government. We're not at the mercy of some centralized entity, increasing the supply and therefore decreasing the value of the asset that we hold. And that is why Bitcoin and blockchain, I believe, are the natural evolution and a very healthy evolution for humans as a whole. And I would say this is so odd in such a little minute detail, but one thing that really sticks out about my childhood is when I was like 10 or 11 years old,
Hmm.
I discovered the power of running.
Hmm.
And I lived in a really small, very small town. I mean, like 5,000 people in Childersburg, Alabama. Shout out Childersburg, Silicon, Alabama. Um,
I love
so
it. I love this is the
itty
first
bitty town.
Alabama shout out we've had on
Here,
stream.
here we go.
Exactly.
And so super, super small town, nothing to do at all. So I started running, and I would run around the block like 2 mile
Dude,
loop, and I would do it every day. And
Uh-huh.
I got to the point where I loved it, right? And then I'm running it twice. I'm running 4 miles a day, and it elevated me so much as an athlete. For those years, I was in the seventh grade, and I was the the starting pitcher for varsity. Throwing 7 innings just from that stamina. And what it showed me as a human, like if we're willing to put in that time and put in that work, you can be great at whatever you want.
People would say, okay, yeah, that's nice. You want to play professional baseball. What's your plan B? Like, you're not going to play. What's your plan B? Like, think realistically.
Yeah.
And I always corrected them. And I said, I'm going to play. It's my next step. I'm going to play baseball as long as I possibly can.
Stepping stone. Love it.
And I don't have a backup because this is what I'm doing. And it's kind of that mindset of fully committing. I was fully committed and I had to be in that mindset. But it was always my next step. I didn't care if I played in the big leagues for 20 years and made $100+ million. I was always going to do something because that's also like my personality. I'm not going to be one of those guys that just makes a ton of money and retires on the beach. Like
No.
I want to build. I love building. And that was my next step. But something my grandfather always said that I didn't really, I've always thought this way, but I didn't really fully understand it until now, was it doesn't cost anything extra to think bigger. Which, like, of course it does, because I thought big and we've spent a ton of money on MetaTope. And it, of course it does,
Nice.
but it really doesn't. Like, I've met so many people that are afraid to take those risks, and they live inside of a box, and you got to think outside the box. It's fine if you want, depending on what you want to do, but somebody that truly wants to build, be a founder, you've got to get outside your comfort zone, which is really, really damn difficult.
Yeah.
We're still doing it. But you got to think bigger, and then you got to keep pushing yourself and your imagination.
We're going to watch this bad boy. Everybody get freaking excited because you're about to see what these two geniuses have been up to. And then we're really going to talk about the project and go from there. So I'm excited. Let me transfer over. We all have disappeared, and I am going to play the video right now.
This is the next iteration of the digital identity, right? And really what we've done, what I think is one of the coolest things to highlight about this product is the fact that we actually have in Web3, in NFTs, we have a very consumer friendly product. And there's very few companies, if any, that have products right now that are as familiar as the application that we've developed. Right? And this goes right into social media. It goes into digital interactions. We're building we're building out these assets so that you can go into your favorite video games, your favorite streaming applications, your social media, and you have that one unified identity across all platforms that you truly own.
There's a bajillion metaverses out there. There's different file formats. There's different file types. What about your product? Have you thought about the fact that the files will be delivered to the NFT holders? Is it universal across spaces? Like, can you talk about that in layman's terms? Again, I understand kind of some of this back end technology, but explain it to the masses.
Think of MetaTope as a Web3 infrastructure company that is building the roads and the pipes to connect all these little isolated metaverses that you have. You have, whether it's Sandbox, Decentraland, whatever, everybody's trying to carve out their own niche and build their own metaverse for what will be the metaverse. Nobody's really focusing on interoperability. So what we're doing is yes, we have our social app. We also have gaming connections. But the special thing is that even if you give somebody a 3D file to download, unless they're very sophisticated and have a lot
Exactly.
of time on their hands, they can't really do anything with it. I mean, you look at Clone X, again, very cool. They delivered 3D files and people can create with it. But the people that are actually investing tens of thousands of dollars into these assets, a lot of them probably don't have all the time and would to spend in Blender. And some of them are actually hiring other people to create things for them. So when you're talking about mass adoption for this extremely special technology, it has to be consumer friendly. It has to be going on in the background so that people are interacting with the blockchain and don't even realize they're interacting with the blockchain.
Exactly.
So in layman's terms, for what we're doing and what this tech is doing, you have a non-fungible token, your virtual identity. I don't care how it's represented as a PFP standard or whatever. That is really just an ownership token.
Right.
Then you come into our application or somewhere that we've integrated with. And based on the metadata that is in there, the traits that say what this token is,
right,
the asset is reconstructed in application based on that metadata, based on all those traits already being stored in that application. So you don't have to download a file. You don't have to then upload the file, mess around with different files types. All you do is connect your wallet and say, I own this token. I want to use this. And it can really, for people in the Web 2 world, I bought an avatar that's unique, it's special, it's one of a kind. I want to be able to use it in a video game. I want to be able to use it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we're focused on. Yes, we're selling NFTs and we've got an incredible artist and building some cool technology, but we're really focused more on building the roads than anything else.
What are your plans there for the future?
Good question, Mike.
So we see this as an onboarding platform for brands and consumers. So right now we're targeting active Ethereum wallets holding NFTs, right? Maybe 250,000 people on this planet if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Web3 is growing. Web3 is, obviously we're sitting here talking for 2+ hours. We believe there's something special there probably.
Yeah,
and people might get behind it. We are betting that we can onboard with this familiar experience many people from Web 2 over to Web 3 in a seamless way, especially with some other things we've got cooking. So hopefully we're not just selling 10,000 avatars. Hopefully we're selling, or people, whether we're selling them or we're giving them away, there will be millions of these in circulation.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about an onboarding platform for brands, if a clothing brand, which a lot of them do, and we talked to some, wants to get into Web3 and sell NFTs and maybe even tie tangible goods to digital goods, they can, sure, you can put like an RFID tag in a handbag or a jacket and tie it to a token and do whatever. But even if you have a picture of let's just say a picture of a jacket, you can't really do anything with that token. If you have a 3D model of that jacket, you still can't really do anything with that token unless you integrate it. And so we're providing these platforms these fashion brands with a platform with a way to actually step into the metaverse. And we also believe that these brands with followings that want to get into the metaverse, well, that's a great way to onboard additional people into Web3 because they have followings of their own. And again, most people aren't in this world. So that's part of the equation. The other equation is we're creating, as we go forward after this initial phase of our social app, or really our rendering app, we're releasing a social platform that will be a very similar experience to a TikTok or an Instagram, where you can engage with others. You can like, comment, share posts. People will see your posts. We'll have some fun augmented reality experiences using geolocation and some AR lenses. And then we also, these empty skins, these avatars have a history and a life of their own. And each one will, if you click on at somebody's profile and see the avatars they own. You can see who previously owned it, what content they were used in, and it's a fun thing. But with that said, with this social platform that we're creating, we've got some fun things in there. That one thing is called, what we're calling post to mint and use to earn. So play on the play and earn model. Don't want to get too into it and at this point, but the idea of when you create a post on our platform, it will automatically be minted as an NFT, whether you're using an avatar or not. We think gives content creators immense power, and then tying interactions to those non-fungible tokens is really kind of rad. Also, we think we'll have a social platform. There are plenty of ways to monetize that, but doing it in the right way, that we feel is the right way, not necessarily how those before us have done it, really creating consumer focused, like community focused ways to benefit and move this space forward.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of things cooking to how we're going to monetize this.
That is one of the best answers I've ever had, because you literally covered the gamut of what your product can offer.
And another thing that I think is so important to speak on again is the relationship, and the human capital and the knowledge that we have backing this. I mean, we've got industry experts across the board, and a lot of that comes, from that intermediate backing, and then giving us the ability to have the leverage and go to the market and get the best talent we could find. And that we have left no stone unturned in creating what we believe for this category is the best possible product that we could bring to the market. And we are going to continue to deliver on that vision every day.
I feel like a majority of the people that get into that are actually super jazzed about Web3 are the people that are excited about creating things. Do you guys agree? Or, I mean, obviously there's the investment side, but is there anything to speak to about that nuance of just the creator builder mentality?
100%. And I think it goes right back to that founder mentality. And that was what we were kind of alluding to there, is that need and that necessity to build and adapt. And that's exactly what you're speaking to. So yeah, it's a beautiful industry, and we're trying to build tools that make it a lot more accessible for the larger audiences, and also give people who utilize our technology true ownership around their social content, right? Like if you think about what NFTs did for digital assets, that's what social media that's what we can do with social media content and digital interactions.
Right.
And that's where we see a lot of, we think we can provide a lot of power to our users.
I love it. Anything to add there, Jordan, or did Walker sum it up pretty well?
He hit it, and you kind of talked about this, and I mean, even I've heard Charles Hoskinson talk about this, about kind of this point with Meta, and these big platforms. I mean, you said you hope they buy us for a bunch of money, but the reality is that there are a lot of people who are disgruntled with kind of the way information is handled, way privacy is handled, and I think it's, when you're talking Web3, when you're talking decentralization, I think the timing couldn't be better. And this is why I mentioned Charles Hoskinson. This is a while ago. He when we get to this point where people will choose the centralization or the decentralization route, and I think there's a lot of momentum building around the idea of decentralization, and I'm hoping that it pushes people toward Web3, and you're getting people, more creators, more of this.
Okay, we're going to play this 30-second trailer, and now that we've had this awesome conversation, maybe a little bit more context into what you're actually seeing when you see the avatar skin. So we're covered up. I'm going to play it right now. I got to turn the volume on first. That would be helpful.
That's the secret.
Mm-hmm.
I got three things I'm going to hit quickly
I love it.
on that. So, yeah, that the whole concept around this is that blending of the physical and the digital, and the evolution of it has been from screen names on AIM to gamer tags, and you have icons to profile pictures to sometimes they're GIFs to whatever, to now this, as your virtual identity has changed, we're evolving because it doesn't exist. It hasn't existed. And especially being able to go cross-platform.
Right.
I can't believe we've been talking for 2.5 hours and we haven't even mentioned Jared Morantz. Jared Morantz is the biggest, if not the biggest, one of the biggest concept artists in Hollywood. The guy has done a ton of most of the DC and Marvel movies, Planet of the Apes, Dune. His resume is insane. You guys should check him out on IMDb and check out his art station. Jared had a ton of different NFT projects come to him. I had to like sell him that I was a nerd, and that we were building something cool, because he didn't want to just do paper dolls. Was his phrase. And so Jared, the guy designed Thanos and Batman and Spider-Man. Again, really insane and impressive. We're very fortunate to have him as our concept artist and world builder. So he is, and we haven't even gotten into a lot of our team, but he is building these characters. He's designing them. He's been very involved. It's incredible to have him on the team. Haven't talked token standards yet, which makes our tokens interoperable. The base point there is that we use two different token standards and can render a base character with ERC 1155 accessories and take them cross-platform.
Wow.
We can talk about that on another talk.
Right.
So those were things like, I'm like, oh hey, I can't believe we didn't talk Jared yet. So
dude,
yes,
just add another amazing tool to the toolbox.